So what we're going to do is we're going to work through these different processes, and we'll keep coming back to this summary to remind ourselves of how far we are on the journey of how a plant reproduces. We've got gamete formation, making the pollen, making the eggs, pollination, which is how the male gamete gets the female one, then fertilisation when they fuse together, then you make the seed and the fruit, then you disperse that seed, and hopefully then you get the germination and the offspring being fully produced. Okay, so we're on to the next stage, fertilisation. The pollen has landed on a stigma. Okay, as you can see here, here's a bee, it's carried the pollen, landed on the stigma. But actually, you'll notice there is now a big gap between where the pollen is at the top of the stigma and where the egg is inside the ovule. So just because they're now on the same flower, they have not yet combined, they have not fertilized, they have not fused. So at this point, the pollen growth tube down the style, it digests its way down the style using the enzymes, and the nucleus will travel down that pollen tube and enter into the ovule, and there the nucleus can fuse with an egg nucleus, the ovonucleus, and you can form that zygote. So fertilization has occurred. Okay, so we've got a fertilized egg cell, and that is then going to be encased inside a seed, this baby plant, as it were, which is going to have a little baby root and a little baby shoot, will be encased inside a seed, and the ovule becomes the seed coat, the outside of the seed, and that ovary becomes the whole fruit that you find the seeds in. So when you find an apple, you look at an apple, what you're actually eating there is a plant ovary. You've got the plant ovary, and you'll notice obviously the seeds inside the apple which are encased there. And as I said, inside the seeds you've got a baby root called a radicle and a baby shoot called a plumule. There'll also be inside that seed a food store, because that seed, when it germinates, is going to need to grow the first few stages without any food from photosynthesis, because there's no leaves at that point, so it's going to need a nice store of food as well. Now, as a plant, once you've made your babies, once you've made your seeds, the last thing you want to do is drop them right next to you. You are a big parent plant. You have all the light, all the space, you've got big roots under the ground taking up all the water. So you do not want to, your babies are not going to grow very well next to you. You want to disperse them far and wide to give them the best chance of germinating and surviving to become parent plants themselves. So the next phase is seed dispersal. Now there's all sorts of ways that plants have evolved to get their seeds dispersed as far as they can. You've got things like ones with hooks, so they can stick to coats of animals as animals walk past them. Things like burdock. You've got ones that a lot of seeds get eaten because they're encased inside nice brightly coloured fruits. Birds come along, eat the berry, eat the seed, fly away, do a poo, and out the seed comes inside the bird poo, and there it's travelled far away from the parent plant. Some are explosive, things like beans. They pop when they get big enough, and the seed fires out, a good 3-4 feet from the parent plant, just enough. Ragwort, dandelions, cotton, etc. use things like the parachute method. Each seed has a number of small little feather-like structures on it to help it float in the wind. As you know, when you blow dandelion, you're blowing the seeds, and they've got a little parachute, and that carries the seed a long way away. Some have little wings like maple and ash, little helicopters, so they just fly just far enough away from the parent tree. And things like poppy have big stems that then shake over in the wind and hit the seeds, shake out. It's what we call the pepper pot method. So loads of different ways that plants can disperse their seeds.